Hey guys, how is it going? Wanted to do something a little different, kind of jumping on the bandwagon as well. Let me try and figure out my screens here. Hey guys, how's it going? It's me, Tabletop Android, your local, your neighborhood aviation enthusiast. So yesterday oops, actually, it would be better if I showed you. Can I hide my VPilot? You don't need to see the VPilot right now. And my other browser isn't, my initial browser that I wanted to show up isn't showing up. Okay. There we go. Probably should have started out with this page. Alright, so yesterday the Beechcraft Bonanza V35 came out, and people have been jumping on it. I'm definitely one of those. Very excited about it. I think this is my dream plane. I like the V tail. Not sure that it really does anything, but the Bonanza is a pretty decent plane. I've used it a lot, and then this V-tail, when I learned about the V-tail, I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. So this came out before from another company, maybe about 9+ months ago, and then this one, I believe this one came out from, I want to say Magneto. Now the problem why I'm not so certain about that is when I go to Magneto's website, I don't see this product in any of their planes. So unless this must be like an exclusive deal, they can't advertise it anywhere else. This only seems to be directly with Asobo. So, alright. But this plane came out. I flew it yesterday, and I have a couple of thoughts about it, but I wanted to give you my opinion on it. So let's go ahead and jump into the game, and let's take a look at it in the marketplace. So here's the Victor 35 Bravo Bonanza. I purchased it for $15 US. I thought that was a great price. I've paid on average $35 for most of the planes. Now, the fact that it's 15 versus 35, I can see why it's 15. There are a lot of options. There are a lot of standard options, but I don't think it's fully baked out. And I'll get into that more. So the great thing is that it's steam gauge. I liked the Bonanza G36, but I fell in love with steam gauges, and I didn't think that they were going to make it steam gauge, but they made it steam. They gave me some older navigational tools, so I'm actually, that just made me more pumped. I was excited about that. The seats look nice and new and clean, so that's actually nice, because I think the G36 has it has seats, but they don't really seem all that great. Now here's the funny thing is, I didn't think that the that the liveries that they had would let you use your own numbers. I thought it was that they had their own numbers in there, but to my surprise, yesterday I changed the livery, and I was able to still see my registration number. So that is actually exciting. That it's something small, but it really goes a long way. Now, word on the street is your cruising altitude is cruising speed is 172 knots. Not sure that's actually accurate, or if I just don't know how to work the plane properly. But we'll see. All right, so there's a ton of liveries. I believe it comes with 10, and then it has the two Microsoft ones at the end. There's a generic white one, and then there's a bunch of different colors. All right. So let us jump in. I wanted to go through the checklist. Let's go with my stomping ground here. ZLU, Gwinnett County in Georgia. Here is the aircraft selection. So here are the liveries. And then this, yeah, this was kind of like a brownish one. I'm gonna go with this one. And 6 Yankee, 49 Tango. Alright, got my tail number. Now we're good to go. So the one thing that I look for when these new planes come out is a checklist. I do like the checklist, and it does help me understand how to work the plane. I do not have my private pilot's license yet, but I am working on it definitely next year. But until then, I use Microsoft Flight Sim, and I use the pilotclub.org to give the club gives me opportunities to fly, to put some of these things that I'm learning into practice. They have a great flight school. They're part of the VAT Sim network, so it's lots of practice. So the checklist is helpful. I have a Velocity 1 setup with some SciTech radio panels and the switch panels, and I have the rudder pedals as well. So I use a checklist to help me map my buttons to the airplane. Ooh, look at this weather. Not looking very good. We'll go ahead and change it. But I thought I just saw that it was set to 154. I think I missed it. So I'm using Track IR. So let's go ahead and get that set. Now, one thing that I immediately do and don't like, it's always nice to see gauges, but I feel like I'm seeing too much of the gauge. And I believe in the G36 or in some other planes, basically my setup would start here. So I know there's a way to reset your reset camera mode. Right now it's set to this, and at some point I'm probably going to set it to this so I can see more of the sky or more of outside the plane, rather than me feeling like I'm constantly just looking down at the plane. Now what I do like is that it has this one arm. I don't know what the official name is, but I like how it has the one yoke. I haven't flown in a real plane. Well, I did for my discovery flight, but not any real training. So it's nice to see that there's, well, most likely they did that because they couldn't fit everything right here. They probably could have put it over there some. But I mean, the likelihood is usually one pilot that's really flying it, but I don't know. Okay, I think I'm going on and on. Okay, so one thing that people love, they love interactions. So this one does have some of those. You can open that window, you can open a door, and the funny thing is, let me pause my camera, is that some people want to interact with the cargo door that's outside for good reason, right? Well, I guess I can't get to it from there. But if we look over here, if we look outside, there is a luggage door here, but you can't interact with it. You can get to it from the back, and there is a, you put yourself in the middle, you can go through there, and then here. And so here's the button. So once you have that button, or once you finally click on the button, you're good to go. Now, who's going to do all of that? I mean, I think if anything, you would probably just set custom. You would set custom custom views. So I have a view. I've got one which is right here. Let me. Okay, there it is. So there is one. There's two, which is on that other side. And then there's a third one, which I have in the back. So you can set a custom view, and then you can come back here and open it up. Now luckily for me, let me reset. I've got all of this mapped up to a button on my hardware, so I can just open and close everything all at once. So that's fun. Okay. Now, looking at, let's get rid of this a little bit here. So we have our 6-pack here, which is great. What I don't like is that there's a lot of these buttons that are inoperative. These buttons, they work. Magneto works, hot air, defrost, cabin heat, all that stuff works. This sub-panel lighting, I didn't see that before. So these are for the lightings, panels, and avionics. This is sub-panel, and this is your trim. And this is how you read if you're going up. So let me actually, so I guess the U means up, I'm assuming, and D means down. So, and then I guess that 0 or that O is for takeoff. You do have your cowl flaps. I have that mapped as well. And then you do have your flaps right here, and they have an indicator right here as well. And I'm trying to figure out, you know, like what's the, I guess because this bar is here, and if you really need to verify that your flaps are down, so I put it down once to approach, and it'll go to 15 degrees and all that stuff. Alright, and then here is a lighter. This one is a vent that's inoperative. These, I think these should light up. Here's your landing gear, which is functional. These are the breakers, which are not functional. So I'm assuming that there's going to be at some point a improvement mod that will make all of this stuff functional. You have your throttle, which I have that mapped. You have your mixture and your prop. And then this one is the alternate air. It's very cute that they have this Beechcraft manual here. This is your auxiliary pump. Okay, and then these buttons are inoperative. And we have this here, standby gyro, which is inoperative as well. We've got EGT, we've got the tool fuel gauges. So I actually like this. This is a lot easier to read because most of the times in other planes I have to come down. So it is nice that it's right there, so I can see it a little better. I think this is the suction, and here we have our RPMs, which is easy to see from my distance. And this, I have not played around with this yet. I got introduced to manifold pressure and all that stuff through the Piper Arrow 3, and it was great. This one, I'm not sure it really does anything spectacular. So it's good that it's there, but I'll have to play with it some more. So there's some fuel flow, which I usually try and keep low. And then, so this looks like you're not supposed to go over 29 manifold pressure. It's not going to break the engine because I don't see anything, or will it? I'll have to test it out. Definitely in the Piper Arrow 3, not Carinato's version. I think it's Skyworks. The Just Flight's version. You can break the engine, which is fun. I actually find that stuff fun, so it makes me like pay attention to this stuff. So right now I'm not paying attention to this in the plane. And hopefully, and this is something that I want to pay attention to. So I'm hoping that another version will have it as to where this stuff really does affect the plane. Oil temperature, cylinder temperature, amps, and oil pressure. So all of that stuff is there as well. Now, with this, I'm not sure what this device is called, but basically all the buttons on top are active. All the buttons on the bottom are inoperative. The majority, actually everything is inoperative, even this right here. Now I like to sometimes monitor both channels, COM1 and COM2, and sometimes I like to talk on COM2 or talk on COM1. You know, it's pilot's discretion. But at this point, with it coming to production the way that it is, I can only talk on COM1. So I can monitor COM2 here, so I can open that one, and then I can monitor both channels, which is fine, but I can only talk on COM1. So I'm hoping that's a bug fix that they'll fix later, that they'll work on later. These are inoperative, so you know none of these buttons work. So it's I don't know. I'm happy that the plane is here. I wish there were more buttons to push. For some reason, I want to push more buttons. Okay, so these ones work, and I haven't tested the audio because I'd like to listen to the what do they call beacons? No, the Morse code. I like to listen to the Morse code for the nav, the ADF, and some of those other navigational aids, and I'm hoping that it works for this one because I know that it doesn't work for some of the other planes. Don't know why. So this is a G530, so this is pretty fine and standard. And then here, now this confused me yesterday. I thought this was my comms, and actually let me see if I can pause. Oh my gosh, it might be better if I just use this instead of my face. So this right here, this is comms 2, and this is nav 2. This, the G530, is going to have your comm 1 and your nav 1. And it took me a while to figure that out because I have the radio panel, and I was switching my comms and I didn't see it switch to this, and I was confused and didn't understand why it didn't work. Took me about 30 minutes, and then I realized that COM 1 was up here, and this was COM 2, so fine. fine. You turn on your Avionics master with this button. And here, I haven't played with this yet, so there's an Autopilot. Oh, that's a typo. Autopilot pitch. There's a Y instead of a T. So there's a pitch here. I haven't played with this yet. But I have played with the Autopilot, and it was actually pretty nice. I did like it. Let me see if I can set. Can I get back to? Okay. So when you turn on Autopilot, these indicators turn on. So Autopilot lights up here. If you're in nav or heading mode, it'll light up there. If once you do your altitude hold, it'll do it here. So it was nice to see these buttons light up here, and then I could also see the indicators here. So it was well done. As I was using it, this was very nice to use. Alright, and then we have, this is for, I only use ADF. I haven't used these other ones, so I haven't tested out the ADF to see if it works. I did use a transponder. It's pretty standard. Once you tune into a beacon, it should be using, I think it should be using this indicator. But then where's the other one for nav 2? Interesting. No, this is it. Because this is pretty simple. So I think this is nav 1, this is nav 2, and I think this is what you're, oh, well, here, ADF bearing. So ADF bearing indicator. So the ADF uses this one. This is a CDI, this is CDI, so most likely nav 1, nav 2. Now the funny thing is, this is my HSI, heading indicator, HDI, I don't know what it's called. It's my heading indicator. But this was hard for me to read. So as I was flying and looking at it, these numbers to me look blurry, and I can't tell what's what. So I have to look down, and then I couldn't tell east and west. So this I think is good or bad, because it's going to force me to correlate 33 with southwest, 30 with southwest, 12 with Oops, north. No, north. What's north? Northwest. 33 with northwest. 12 with southeast. So, because I can't easily tell where my quadrants are, and I think this is going to force me to have to understand the numbers. So I guess it's a double-edged sword there. Okay, this one, this is your DME. So you should be able to, I don't know what hold. So I'm assuming nav1 DME and off, and there is a readout there. Oh boy, I don't think I can get that low. Oh, you know what? It actually has views. It actually has quick views. Okay, so this, I have not used this yet. So this is vertical speed. Bottom altitude. Okay, so I don't know. So is this my... Yes, I'm not sure. So this has a readout. This does something. Don't know what it does yet. I'll have to play with it some more. And this is something that I'll have to learn as well. It's a fuel mode selector, but I'm not sure what the fuel mode is. Everyone's looking for a pilot operating handbook for the V35B. So I'm gonna keep looking on the internet. I found a POH already, but I'm not sure if it has the same. I don't think it would have the same setup. But we'll see. All right, so I think that's it for the instruments. So let's go ahead and run through the checklist and get this bad boy started up. And see if it's great. Okay. Let me reset my views here. I'm going to go ahead and change the weather to something that's a little easier to look at. Now, I do like some clouds, so let's do a little bit of... Let's do some... Oh, yeah, that's nice. Okay. All right. Now, the good thing is it does have a decent checklist, so it's not terrible. So before we start up, so we got our parking brake, and good thing is that it'll actually show us where the brake is. Where's my button? So parking brake is off and on. Let me actually... I need to start my... There's another software that I want to start. Okay. Back. We're back. Okay, so I can see that my parking brake is on and off. That's good. Parking brake is set. Avionics master switch. Alright, so that's this bad boy here. It is off. Alright, circuit breakers all pushed in. Doesn't matter. In this case, they're never going to be pushed out. Landing gear is down. There we go. Landing gear is down. Flaps. Alright, flaps is at 0, and we can see here flaps is up. Cow flaps is open, so there's the cow flap, and there's the pull open. So I put these labels on when I'm first learning the plane, and as soon as I get comfortable with it, then I'll turn it off so that I can have to rely on these text to figure out what's going on. Lights as required. So here are all the light switches. Beacon, nav, taxi, landing. I do enjoy that there's taxi and landing. There's some planes that there's the Piper Arrow 3 that just has a landing, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I want taxi and landing. Pitot heat, de-ice. Now the de-ice is funny because I think I got this one set up on the hardware, but I think it took a while to figure out. Not sure. Alternator and battery. Okay, so lights as required. Now the AP, I don't know what this is yet. So here is, so this one's inoperative. This one is the AP trim disc, and it's connected, disconnected. It's something you have to hold down. So I don't have a free button on my hardware that I can use for this, because on my left button here, I'm using that to talk to VATSIM. On the right one, I'm using that to talk to Discord. So there's a thing, it's off. I don't know. Disconnected. Autopilot is what I'm assuming AP is. So I don't know. I'll look it up. I'll become better. So this is the pitch. This is the pitch trim. Now, it's not the elevator trim, which is this. That's a pitch trim. Is that the same pitch trim? Maybe. Maybe. Okay. Fuel selector, fullest tank. Right, fuel selector. So we have off, main, left, and right. So those work properly. And I'm supposed to hook that up to my hardware eventually. Battery switch, they want that on. So let's go ahead and turn that on. Alright. I'm gonna go ahead and turn it on with my hardware so that I'm in sync virtually and in the real world. They want the alternator on, which is this one. So we'll turn the alternator on. Fuel quantity indicators. So here we go. We're at half. I guess the fact that they work is what they wanted to check for us to check, and it works. Okay, so starting the engine, mixture rich. Mixture is this bad boy here. I guess we'll start out with everything out. So mixture is rich. The prop lever is max. Let's put that in all the way. Throttle, they want that full. You have your electric pump now on until flow peaks, then off. I don't know what the flow peak means. Takeoff and landing with auxiliary fuel pump. Off except in case of loss of fuel pressure. Okay, on until flow peaks, then off. So the fuel flow. So does that have anything to do with? I'm trying to think of what gauge. So I can turn on the fuel pump, right? So there. You can turn it on. And this does something. But it's not a smooth animation, so I don't know what's going on there. So let's see if we can see it. Yeah, even if I do it in, it just jumps. So is it this? It's not any of these. So I don't know what it means by flow peaks and then off. But we did do it. Now we're going to set our throttle to 1/4 of an inch. So let's pull it out, put it in 1/4 of an inch. Alright, now we're going to do the Magneto. So here we are. I'm going to use the hardware, right, left, both, and then I'm going to back out for start. Okay. So some people were talking about the sound and that they don't think that this sound is loud enough. Let me check my audio levels. You should be able to hear it just fine. If I open up the window, it's louder. Let's see what happens when I open up the window and the door. Okay, so it seems fine to me, I think. What time is it? Okay. Let's actually take a look at it, listen to it outside. Usually when you go outside it's louder. No, it's actually... It definitely seems quieter than other planes. The Kodiak, that thing is loud. The Piper Arrow, oh my god, that thing is so loud. Yeah, okay. I can definitely agree with some of the stuff that people have been saying about the sound. Okay, let's finish up this checklist here. So we've got the throttle. They want us to put it at 1200 RPMs. Let's move this over a little bit here. So here we go. We're going to push in the throttle. We're at 1100. Okay, so, and what I'd like to see is this manifold pressure. So the fuel flow and the manifold pressure as I'm playing around with the throttle does interact with this, so that's good. And then I'll have to figure out, I'll have to play with it with the other dials. So, excuse me for 1 minute, that is... Alright, I was just checking something. Okay, so... Oil pressure check. So let's check the oil pressure. Oil pressure, here we go. So it's right at the edge of green. This is green, this is green. Amps seem to be good. Everything seems to be fine. So we'll just use that. Oil pressure check. Alternator is on. I believe we did turn the alternator on. Yes. We turned it on the last time. Yeah, from before the engine. Okay, so alternator's on. The brakes, we're gonna test the brakes. So let me get my pedal. So I'm pushing on the pedal and you can hear it. So then there. Okay. Avionics. So the avionics switch is here. Let's go ahead and turn on. Lights as required. So that's going to be, oh boy. Actually, this one. So we definitely want our beacon on. I'm going to keep the strobe and nav off until we get to the runway, taxi when it's necessary. Okay. So there we go. So before takeoff, we have avionics set, flight instruments check, the meter. What is that? Took me somewhere. I don't know what the ammeter or the ammeter is. Oh, wait, there's an arrow. Where'd the arrow go? Where'd the arrow? It's over here somewhere? I don't know. Okay. Electric fuel pump is off, which I believe I already turned it off. Magneto cutoff test. Set the magneto to off, and then back to both. Ooh, I haven't done this test before. Set it to off and then back to both. Okay, so definitely when I turned it off, the engine cut, and put it back to both and it turned back on. Oh, I should have had my throttle at 1700. Trims, flaps. Well, let's try it again. Let's try it again at 1700. Let's get this up to 1700. So I do like that it's moving around. I can see that there's some power that it's trying to that it's creating. I can see that there's some movement from the plane. So that's cool. Alright, let's turn the magnetos off. Okay, I did turn it off. I had to turn it back on. Alright. Now let's see what happens when I cut it. So the throttle goes all the way down to 700 RPM. We're going to keep it at 1200, get that engine, that oil temperature up. Okay, magneto cutoff test, trim set for takeoff, flaps at 0, controls are free. Okay, let's take a look. at the ailerons. Okay. Take a look at the tail if we can. Yep, that looks to be working. Alright, and can we see the other tail, or we're just gonna... There we go. Alright. Seems to be set. Mixture ridge brakes. Okay, so I'm actually not going to do the takeoff right now. I'm hearing a bunch of noise. It's coming from the rare puddles. Okay, so that was just a look at the inside. I'm going to come back on later today and do a couple circuits and see how it handles. Because the way that it handles, I don't know if the plane just flies this good or if it's not a real model. I'm so used to fighting with the Piper, the Kodiak. I'm so used to fighting with some of those other planes, constantly having to trim or making sure that it's not veering off to the left or to the right. And this plane doesn't do that. Is that by design, or is that an oversight? So I don't know. It is a $15 plane, so it's possible that they may not put as much realism as I would have wanted, but we'll see. Either way, love the plane. I love the V-tail. I love the fact that it's a steam gauge, and it's great. All right, so let's go ahead and shut this. Let's go ahead and shut this boy. So I'm gonna take off the. Take out the fuel, shut off the magnetos. So that shut off is satisfying. Sometimes they just like cut out, but that one seemed fine. Okay, so let me just go ahead and shut things down. And I think we're good to go. Oh, the Avionics. Okay, so we're good to go. All right, so that is a quick run through of what's going on, and I will come back with another video. So this is Tabletop Android, and I'll see you later.